I think what keeps people out of therapy a lot is they're like, but I don't really know if I have a problem. You don't have to have a problem because the therapist doesn't have to have a solution. So think about it more as a conversation and like, how can I have a conversation with somebody? Granted, it's a little one-sided in the beginning, but how can I just try to have a conversation with somebody about how I'm feeling? And that's it. We have really lost the ability to be bored. Like
I definitely have.
Yeah. Well, so like quick story. My husband took my kids camping this weekend, or our kids. They're not solely mine. Diagnostic. This weekend. And it was the first time that he had taken them by himself. And it was the first time that I didn't go. And I had the whole weekend to myself, like in an empty house other than our 2 dogs. And so everyone, like when I told them that, they're like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking this. And they're like, no, don't do anything and tell us how it is. And I was like, okay, but that's really hard for me because I don't like being bored. Like it's very uncomfortable. But Saturday, I went and had coffee with a friend. We sat for 3 hours because I was deeply craving like that connection of seeing somebody in person. And then I went home and I was like, okay, I could go climbing. I could reorganize the closet. But I just was like, I'm just going to sit. I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm just going to see how it feels.
You lasted 14 seconds.
No, I lasted 7 hours.
What did you do?
I watched The Real World Las Vegas.
Obviously.
I mean, I got pizza and I did take the dog for a walk and showered. So like maybe take out an hour and a half. But honestly, it like after that first initial part of like, this is uncomfortable. I should be doing something. I should be doing something. I should be doing something. I'm not being productive. I could get work done. Like all that stuff. I just tried to like, just be quiet, like just settle in and enjoy it. And here's what happened. When they came back on Sunday, I was like fully replenished. Like I really was. And I mean, even so much so that my husband said to me, he goes, I kind of like you when you're more depleted. Because I was like, being probably super annoying and dancing and like doing all the silly stuff. And he was like, you're at like a level 10 and I need you at like a level 5. But that's how I was able to show up for them when they came home, like much more feeling restored. And I think like we don't like being with ourselves. I mean, we don't like being quiet because we think. We don't like being quiet because we feel. Like it's the hard part of being human sometimes is like tuning into the parts of ourselves that we put to the side because they're painful.
So how do we deal with that?
We do more. We rest more. We like get used to it more. I mean, I think we really do have to slow down a little bit more. And I know that sounds super tropey and sort of this idea of like, we're going too fast and we have to slow down, blah, blah, blah. But really, I think we do a little bit. We have to connect more with ourselves. I mean, it's interesting because like even in the world of eating disorders, like for me to ask someone like, well, what kind of foods do you like? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what I like to eat. It's like, if you ask someone like, what do you like about yourself? I mean, a lot of people can't answer that question. Like you should have an answer to that question, but the only way you find an answer is by sitting with yourself. And also, what don't you like about yourself? You know what I mean? So to be able to like tune into the parts of yourself, tune into any part of yourself, I think is important, but we typically aren't able to do that if we're go.
So how do you do that in a world where like your phone is attached to you?
Yeah, you put it away like we have it away now. Fascinating, right? Like we can put our phones away.
Right.
Mine's on do not disturb, right?
Mine is too, yeah.
Exactly. But when we get out of this room, it's like, well, I'm going to put
miss?
Yeah. I didn't miss anything. I'm always thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have like 18 texts. Yeah. No, I probably won't. You know what I mean? You probably will. But we have to do that more. Like we really do. And I think, but we have to be intentional with it. And we have to like trust that we're going to be okay. And that sounds so silly. Like talk to myself and say, I'm going to be okay if I put my phone away. Yeah. Like talk to yourself.
My favorite way to force this and create this habit is to go in the sauna.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Because you can't bring your phone in the sauna. Otherwise you'll kill it.
Don't you imagine there are people out there that have found a way though? Like they put it in a bag with ice or something. I imagine people have found a way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I bring mine in for 5 minutes and then it gets hot and then I put it away.
The truth shall set you free.
I make sure that I put a podcast on so that when I have to put it out, but like I'm intending to be in there for 30 minutes. And so anyway, it's still like there are a lot of behaviors that I don't like about myself that I...
Yeah, you and me both. But I think that is like, we really do have to stop for a little bit and like put those kinds of things away. And it can't be, I'm going to put my phone away, but I'm going to hang out on my computer.
Yeah. So in October, I remember I went an entire weekend without my phone. And I remember it was October because I went to Leo Roach's birthday party, and Leo was born in October. And I went the whole weekend without my phone.
And how did it feel?
It was wonderful.
What did you notice about yourself?
I noticed that I was so much more present.
Yeah.
And that I was happier.
Yes.
And that like people thought I was on drugs or something, that like, I was just like, yeah, I was just present in a way I'm not normally.
Yeah. Which is like, we're supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Like that is how we are wired to be, you know? And I talk about this all the time with my clients, like being in alignment with your values, being in alignment with what matters. But like, we also have to be in alignment with our biology. And like when we're on our phones all the time and not connect, we're not in alignment, and it makes us feel sick. It makes us feel anxious. It makes us feel ungrounded, it makes us feel unsafe. So I think we do have to do it more. And I can't stand the argument, especially with like parents, of like, what am I going to do? Take my phone away from my kid? Yeah, you have hands. Take it away from your kid. Yes, take it away from your kid. Like, let them take it away from you. You know, if they say like, Mom, you're on your phone, and they grab your phone, let them take it away. They should take it away. It's not fair for them.
That's a great tip.
You know, so we all, you know, like, let's use the things we have to put down our phone.
Totally. You've been thinking about this podcast for, in theory, 3 months. Were there things that you were expecting to talk about that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Oh, that's another great question. Not really. I mean, the question I get all the time, which is like, I wonder if I'll ask this, is like, what are the themes you notice in your athletes? And like, what comes up?
What are the themes you notice in your athletes and what comes up?
I know, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we don't have to talk about that.
No, not really. I mean, I love these kinds of conversations because they're the most authentic. You know, it feels so good to sit with someone who is present, who is interested. Like, I mean, I could talk all day long about what I think podcast hosts are doing wrong nowadays.
Now you're on the hot seat.
One of them being, listen, if you're a podcast host out there and you have a guest and they answer a question and you're looking down to see what you're going to ask next, I am immediately not interested, like, in being on that podcast. That kind of stuff is really hard for me. So like, don't do that. And you clearly don't do that. Like, you're just sitting here looking at me.